So then right when you go to Florida, you're scared, nervous, excited. What's going through your mind at that time?
You know what? So I had actually prayed about where to go.
Which is very interesting because I know off camera we had a conversation just a few days ago, and I sort of asked you for some business advice on like a venture, and you had told me that, right? And that's very interesting that you talk about that. Has that always been at the center of your ethos, where when you're faced with a particular challenge in life, you pray on it and let the answer come to you versus force it to come to you?
When my faith was changed when I was 15, we had mentors, Bob and Josie, and these guys, they were in their 70s. And they kind of took us as a family under their wing. We would do Bible studies with them, and they basically taught us the Bible, taught us how to pray. Like, they showed us faith on a whole nother level. So I really got to give them a lot of credit, because without them, like, those were our spiritual mentors. We didn't grow up with spiritual mentors, right? At all, right? And it's very different than going to church. Like, going to church is like, you go to church, you get a word, and then you leave, right? But like diving into the scripture. So I have to give credit to them. So that's where it started. I learned how to pray through Bob and Josie. They taught us how to pray. And so I always knew that whenever I was going to make a big decision, so important to pray about it. And at that time, when I was transferring schools, I needed confirmation. So the way that I prayed at that time, like, it wasn't like I basically would pray on it and I wait for a confirmation that God would send someone else into my life to confirm it.
Wow, very interesting.
And I needed 3 of them. Like,
you need to make sure.
I needed to make sure I'm going in the right direction, right?
Yeah, make sure that's a sign.
Yeah, exactly. So I had prayed about it, and 3 people, literally 3 different people, had pointed me to the one place.
No way.
And I was like, you know what? That's it. And that's where I went.
So did they come in the form of phone calls, conversations with people you trust?
Conversations. I was at the doctor once, and then we were telling the doctor, and he's like, "Oh yeah," and because I had said all the schools I applied to, and then they pointed to Clearwater.
Yeah.
And then 2 other people were like, "Oh yeah, Clearwater. I heard it's an amazing school." And
so it's just divine guidance a little bit. Yeah.
It was divided, or divinely guided, but through people.
Very interesting. Yeah. Okay, so then you go to Florida. What happens when you land?
So I get to Florida. I pack my bags. I get dropped off in Florida, in Tampa. I got a shuttle into the campus, and it was a completely different world. I mean, I went from secular, no rules, to like, I had like pages of like, I have to agree to these rules. Yeah. I roll in, there's a guard at the shack with a gun in his side. Yeah. I'm like, this is a whole nother world. Right. It was a gated community. It was private Christian school down in Clearwater. And it was different. Girls in one dorm, boys in the other. Slippery Rock was girls and boys all in the same dorm. Yeah. Right? I remember Slippery Rock, it was like, my door is here, across the hall is the girls' dorms. Yeah. Right?
Which is literally trouble, yeah.
Totally different. Yeah, very true. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So totally different worldviews, totally different world.
And then so right away, do you is it sort of, you acclimate to that, or is there a little bit of resistance, or were you in such a place where like you wanted that? So it was kind of.
You know what? I wanted the structure.
Yeah.
But I didn't. There was so many rules. I was willing to comply with them because it was like, you know what? Like, I'm here. Like, I signed up for this.
Yeah, I did it my way prior. That didn't work. This is probably a little bit better.
Right. Now, you should know I transferred into that school going for pastoral studies, because I thought that maybe my purpose was to go down that path.
So it wasn't to be an 8-figure entrepreneur at all?
No.
That wasn't your vision at that time?
That was not the vision.
Interesting.
Yeah, or even to own my own business at the time. It wasn't, like, that wasn't even it either. Like, in college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I went for marine biology, I went for anatomy and physiology, business, marketing. I ended up with a marketing degree.
What's your best advice to people who actually, I want to ask, who might be in that boat right now?
Yeah.
Maybe they have ambitions to do big things in the world, but maybe they're in college or thinking about going to college or don't know what major to pick or where to go. What would your best advice be on, how to make that decision or how to figure out what they want to do in life?
I think I would have started with all the gen ed stuff. So knock that all out. College was expensive, right?
Right.
And you end up meeting cool people, developing social skills. If you go to the right school, Slippery Rock, okay, there's a big difference between private and public.
Right.
Right? Slippery Rock, I just went to class and then showed up and took the test. It was that easy.
Right.
Whereas private school is completely different. Like, I had to study, like, I had to actually do work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The levels of education are different between private and public.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Now, that doesn't apply to everything. But what I would recommend to anyone who's thinking about going to college is get out the general ed stuff out of the way. That way you don't waste time, unless you know exactly what you want to do, right? If you know exactly what you want to do, then specialize. But for me, I wasted time. I mean, I spent 6 years in school to get my marketing degree because I transferred 3 times.
So you didn't graduate until you were like 26 or something? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So your entrepreneurial journey starts after that, correct?
My entrepreneurial journey, I believe, started when I was selling Jolly Ranchers.
Gotcha.
Right.
Just took a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
And then after you graduate from college, which is you're 26 at the time, did where did the pivot happen where you went for, you wanted to focus initially on doing, you said biblical studies?
Yeah, so I went to biblical studies at Clearwater. Then I transferred 6 months in, I transferred over to Liberty University.
Gotcha.
And the reason why I did that is because that school was so rule bound. In the Christian world, that's called it's known as like being fundamental. But it just had too many rules.
Too many, yeah.
Just was a little too many. I mean, there were some amazing people, some amazing friendships that I met there. One guy a friend of mine, JD, he turned me on to Stephen Covey's, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? So there was there's always good in every circumstance.
Gotcha.
I believe that. Like you can pull nuggets out of every situation, right? Or scenario. But I knew I needed to pivot, and so I ended up transferring to Liberty University.
Interesting.
With getting a degree in pastoral studies.
Nice.
Right. But after I was at Liberty for a semester, I decided, you know what? I don't feel called to be a pastor of one church. And so then I shifted my degree to marketing because I knew that marketing is applicable to business. If I'm going to be an evangelist, then I'm going to need to be a marketer.
Right.
Like I knew marketing would come in handy.
Right. Any direction that you pivot
for
from
any direction that I'm going to
makes
be
sense.
in. Yeah.
And then you get into network marketing, or when did that come about?
You know what? So I was in Liberty and I got turned on to network marketing. Amway back in the day.
Amway,
actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was called Quickstar at the time that I had joined, and then they changed back. So they went from Amway to Quickstar, back to Amway now. But I joined, and that was probably one of the best things that I could have done was join in for that. I have a funny story about that. We bought my buddy and I bought
all the products,
$5,000 worth of energy drinks. We were going to give them out on campus, and
and build a team.
We got shut down by that because Pepsi has the contract.
Gotcha.
So we ended up consuming 5,000 or just giving away the drinks.
So did you end up doing well in network marketing, or just reaping the benefits of the personal development mindset, team building?
I did fairly well. Not in Amway. I ended up joining a company called LifeWave, and we were like one of the top, fastest growing sponsors. We came out to San Diego, I think it was at the time, for a conference. But I did pretty well in network marketing, but I just didn't stick with it. The
just wasn't fulfilling, or
it just wasn't. Yeah, it just wasn't a right fit. So, but network marketing, the beautiful thing about that is it opened me up to personal development. So I read Og Mandino, Greatest Salesman in the World. Og Mandino's amazing.
Great book, love that.
Think and Grow Rich, and that just took me down the rabbit hole. I mean, from one book to the next. I consumed, I didn't date for 2 years. I was just passionate about growing, learning, figuring things out,
And then at that point, is the seed planted in wanting to do online stuff, online marketing?
No, not right away. So I went from personal development journey. I mean, I was Tony Robbins, and all these things, all this stuff, right? To the point where I started reprogramming my subconscious mind because I read a book, forgetting it now, but it's all about the power of the subconscious mind. That's what it is. And I started Joseph Campbell, and so I read that book, and I realized that my thoughts, my way of being, is dictated by my subconscious mind, which was programmed by other people, not just myself.
Correct.
So I realized I needed to reprogram that thing. So I got into personal development very deep into the point where I knew I needed to reprogram my subconscious mind because my subconscious mind was programmed by my parents, programmed by my school,
correct,
programmed by my upbringing, my family. So I knew I needed that reprogrammed. So as I went deep there in personal development, I started attending some events. And, I set a goal for myself that I wanted to produce. One of my declarations, Tony talks about this a lot, right? Is he started me on my path of creating morning I call them morning rhythms now.
Rituals.
Back in the day, I called them morning rituals. Now I call them morning rhythms.
And you do them every single day?
Every single day.
What are some of them?
And I have a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, I call it Rise and Energize. So for years, I would get up and do water, green drink, or coconut in my energy blend, mix them together and pound it down. You know, because you wake up in the morning, you're dehydrated, right? So it's good to get water in there, or lemon water, right? So it's a combination. Sometimes it's nice to switch it up. So, you know, but for me, Rise and Alkalize, movement and exercise, get on the rebounder, jump on the rebounder, go for a walk. I'll walk around the neighborhood and do declarations, right? That's another one.
I love that.
I call it powerful declarations. And so in the beginning, when I didn't really truly understand the power of declarations and the way in which to do them, now I have a much deeper understanding. This was, you know, this is more than a decade ago, right, when I started this. But the declaration that I'd created at the time was, I am powerful, prosperous, and productive, producing $1 million a month. Now, looking back on that, I realized that was coming from a place of lack. And so I would reframe that differently. But my goal at that time, this was college, I wasn't generating, I was a personal trainer in college.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just doing personal training on the side.
Yeah.
And I was, you know,
you were not making $1 million a month.
Loans, so I wasn't making $1 million a month.
Yeah.
Shoot, I wasn't even making $10,000 a month at the time.
Yeah.
But I had a vision for $1 million a month. And I knew that I needed to get that into my subconscious mind. I needed to reprogram my way of thinking about money. Hey, thanks for watching today's video. And if you love this video, be sure to leave a comment. Tell me your top 3 takeaways or top takeaway from today's video. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can get notified every time that we upload a new video here on YouTube. And before you go, make sure you grab your free golden ticket. This free golden ticket is loaded with our 7-figure and our 8-figure expert agency and e-commerce funnels, emails, and scripts that we've used to build multi-million-dollar businesses in a variety of different markets. So thank you again for watching this video. Hope you got massive value from it, and I look forward to hearing what your takeaway was from this video. And also, I look forward to seeing you in the upcoming videos that we will be releasing.